Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about a cool new hero, cool new build, and that is Leshrac support. Leshrac support is going to be really awesome in this meta for a couple of reasons. The main reason being Diabolic Edict. This ability was recently buffed to be 10 damage at level 1 and 34 instead of 30 at max. Essentially, this ability does 400 pure damage at level 1. You heard that correct, 400 pure damage. Combine that with a stun that is a flat 1.7 second stun and 120 damage for only 80 mana, you have one of the best laners in the game if paired with another stun. So without further ado, let's talk about Leshrac. As a support, this hero is insane, and we're going to be watching Snake King, one of the best players in the world. This guy's like ranked 30 as a position 5 player, which is really impressive.
Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the gameleap website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up.
Okay, so in terms of starting items, you're just going to want to buy a bunch of stats, Blood Grenade, Fairy Fire, and a ton of tangos. You can buy Stick if it's a good stick lane. From there, you skill up your Edict and you look to use the tree line to get off your Edict. On this side, it's a little bit hard. He's currently playing against a melee hero, which is very beneficial for Leshrac. Typically against range heroes, you kind of have to use this tree line or this tree line to get in position for Diabolic Edict. And if you manage to close the gap, no one can trade. And you'll see that in this clip here, that's exactly what happens. I have no idea why Schofield walks up to him, but that's terrible, right? Because now, with 325 movement speed, you easily can walk down to Tiny, who's at 285 movement speed, right? This hero is insanely fast, and he just absolutely nukes the guy, right? Brings him to half health, and Tiny is a 900 health hero. Now, the main benefit of Leshrac is how good your hero is at trading, and that opens up the pulls. I want you guys to understand, if your hero is good at trading, the main benefit of that is the fact that you can pull. So even if the enemy is avoiding you and not letting you edict them because they're afraid of you, well, in that case, just pull. Just use that space that you're given to pull. Now, this game, he got first blood, so he bought a Bassi. This is not something you can do every game, right? Some games, you're just going to have to buy Clarity and Stick to sustain your mana pool. And from there, he goes for a half pull. Keep in mind, he intentionally was trying to get only 2 creeps because this camp sucks. If you get one of the shit camps like this camp, even though it was recently buffed, it still sucks. If you get this camp, you have to try to pull only 2 or 3 creeps so that those creeps actually die, right? It also gives your carry a creep to work with, which is often actually a good thing. So yeah, because Tiny can't fight the pull, he's able to CS all of it, which is actually really important. Make sure when you pull, you get all the CS, and he can easily, once again, just bully this Tiny out over and over and over again, right? Tiny cannot lane. From there, Leshrac with Wraith King is really easy, and I recommend when you play Leshrac, you try to recommend your carry to pick any hero with a slow or a stun. Any slow, such as PA slow or Troll slow, is more than enough to hit a Leshrac stun pretty reliably. Obviously, Wraith King stun is even easier. You just instantly stun, right? Wraith King stun is only 1 second, so you have to stun into stun, but it's a ton of damage, right? Leshrac stun is 1.7 seconds at all levels, and for comparison, Wraith King stun is only 1 second at level 1, but scales up to 1.6. So Lesh stun is really long, and all you have to do is make sure you hit it. And then when you hit it, you get off a good Edict, and he destroys the Tiny once again. So the next clip coming up here teaches a couple of good lessons. First off, the skill build is to not take any points in Lightning Storm. In fact, he's going to take stats over it when he has the option between this or stats. But you max stun and you max W. This is because your hero has mana problems otherwise. Then from there, the next lesson is if your teammate slows or stuns, instantly stun. Don't hesitate and don't wait to the last second. Because of the cast animation of Splitter, if you wait, you will likely miss it. And that's what he does here. He waits, he goes for an auto attack, and he misses the stun. Don't be greedy, just get the stun. The next lesson is once you have high points in Edict, let's say you hit level 5, you eviscerate towers because you do pure damage, and so the towers don't resist it at all, right? And you'll notice like they have to insta-glyph, right? Instantly they have to glyph for this Edict because otherwise with the cart, it would have dropped to below half health. The next tip I'd like to give you guys is you want to look for opportunities to sneak around the tree line. By the way, he rushed Mana Boots, which you don't have to do every game. Some games you can go Magic Wand, Windlace, and Raindrops, these smaller items, so that you have better opportunities to fight in the early game, right? Mana Boots are not the best fighting item. In fact, they're a terrible fighting item. They just give you mana to be able to make plays and obviously enable your teammates' mana pools throughout the map. But this is not something you have to do every game. Yeah, so from there, there's a couple spots on the map. This is one of them, right? Where you can actually hit the tower from the tree line. So another one of them is like behind this tree. You can hit this tower. from this tower, if you get behind this tree, so most of the tier 1s, this tower you can get behind this tree. Every single one of the tier 1s, you can get behind it and nuke it. From mid, you can go behind this tree. I think this one actually doesn't have it. So unfortunately, if you're on Radiant, you maybe can't take mid tower like that. But most of the tier 1s, you can do that. And you'll notice the tower practically dies from half health, more than half health, just dead. Tier 1 gone, removed. And I really like their draft. I think this draft around Leshrac makes a ton of sense. You'll see in this clip here, they have so many stuns, right? They have Wraith King and Tusk, which are two of the best disable heroes in the game. And Tusk in particular, having a melee hero like Clockwork or Tusk or Tiny to work with, really enables Edict. Now, he messes up in this clip, and I do want to point this out so you guys can optimize your Lesh gameplay. But when you're playing Leshrac, what you want to try to do is you want to try to use Edict before you stun. Now, you might be like, oh, Speed, you just said don't hesitate on the stun. Well, of course that depends. That is mostly talking about stun plus you. If there are a ton of stuns, right, there's going to be a ton of disable, or the enemy is walking into you, into your vision, and you see them first, you want to lead with Edict. So in this clip here, he gets snowballed through, which was really dope from Crit. And what he's supposed to do, because he knows that tag team is going to come out, click W and click mana boots to obviously help out his teammates. They lack some mana here, right? But the main thing is he should click Edict, and then during the tag team slow, he can stun, right? Because the tag team slow would stay, right? It's not going to go away. And the Edict comes out kind of late, right? And this will lose you kills in a lot of scenarios, so just be aware of it. Obviously, I'm better than Snake King, so it's very important that you do what I say and not what he does. Okay, and from there, the gameplay of Lesh is pretty simple. If you're having a good game, you want to go for the tier 1s, right? Just go from tier 1 to tier 1 to tier 1. Obviously, if the enemy has 5 heroes at a tier 1, Leshrac is not going to be able to take the tower because he has to get really close to do so. So just don't do that. Okay, the main mistake and the main reason Leshrac's win rate isn't that high in low MMR pubs is because people get too close to the enemy. In order for Leshrac to do damage, he has to get really close. So if you're owning the game, it's easy. If the game is a bit harder, you have to be a bit more secretive, right? You have to use this tree line maybe when the enemy goes to a side lane. You have to use the nighttime tree lines, right? Or if the enemy team goes mid, you have to go bottom. In this match, they're absolutely dumpstering the game, and so they're just taking all the tier 1s as a team. Right, this is obviously different than what a lot of games would look like. They're even invading the enemy team's jungle here and kind of pushing through, looking to take the final tier 1, which he could do. But if the game is hard, farm a side lane, make stacks. You can take stacks alone when you have mana boots and ult, right? You can play this hero like a semi-core if the game is hard. You can smoke your mid to a side lane and go for a kill. You don't have to play like, oh, I'm going to take all the towers because I'm Leshrac. You don't have to do that. A lot of people will get that wrong. They're just going to play with one idea in mind. That is the best play. Take all the tier 1s, but it's risky. Now, in terms of the item build and skill build as things follow up, there's a couple things I'd like to talk about with you guys. So first things first, I really don't like this item build through and through. I think maybe you can get away with it if your other support also buys mana boots and is constantly mana booting you. Or if your mid does that, or offlaner or something like that. Then you can get away with this. But my problem with rushing mech is you just can't sustain it. Like, mech is a very expensive item in terms of mana. It costs 100 mana, right? It's no joke considering it gives you literally 0 mana pool or 0 mana regen. What I suggest he does, I think there's 2 things I would personally change. Number 1, I would be buying a lot more clarities. I think it's just a necessity in this case. So yeah, if I was him, I would have a ton more clarities. Or what I would be doing is having raindrops or maybe even a soul ring. Soul ring sounds insane, but I think because you're buying a mech, you have headdress regen, and he also took Seeds of Serenity. I think with Seeds of Serenity, you can justify a soul ring so you have more of a mana pool. He just doesn't have enough mana. Like in this clip here, he's about to destroy this Wind Ranger. I'm gonna play it back, right? He's about to literally annihilate this Wind Ranger. He goes mid, he catches her. This is the enemy mid laner, right? And this is how Leshrac works. You wanna find side angles into the fight, because if you can flank the enemy and you can find someone isolated, no one stands a chance. But unfortunately, he can't keep his ulti going, and he can't use mech, right? There's no way this is good. There's no way you can take a team fight, and you can't even use the mech. You can't use your ult, and you can't use mech. There's no way this, like, if you can't use the mech, buying mech can't be good, right? Or at least rushing mech. There has to be some other way around this. I don't know exactly what the build is. I haven't played a ton of Lesh support. I'll get back to you guys on it. But essentially what I would at least recommend is this smoke should probably be raindrops, and you should probably have a bunch of clarities, delaying the Greaves timing a bit, but at the same time, maybe keeping the Greaves timing the same because he'd be able to fight with his mana items. Okay, getting into one of the final team fights of the video. Basically, I want you guys to look at a couple of things. Number 1, he kept his ulti at level 1. Reason being is, well, he doesn't have much of a mana pool, and as we've been seeing, he doesn't really buy the mana items. This time he has a Lotus to help out a bit with it, and he has completed Greaves, which eliminates the mana cost of mech, and so obviously this helps a lot. When you actually complete the Greaves, and you have a Lotus, you have a lot of problem solved. He took stats over Lightning Storm and the second point of ulti, and he took mana regen at level 10, right? Then he takes Pupil's Gift, because this item gives 2 armor, and also gives a ton of health. It gives 320 health or something like that, right? It's about 300 health, more than 300 health. And so in this team fight, he gets trapped in the arena, but he's totally fine. Because this is what Leshrac support does. Your hero is insanely tanky, he also has a cloak, so he has a ridiculous amount of survivability. Also, his Wraith King has an AC, and so he kind of can't die. Goes for the stun onto the Mars, but you're not really going to kill anyone fast. He's just kind of baiting out the BKB here. It's a good stun, right? Forces out the Mars BKB, you're feeling good. Then he goes for a stun onto the Void, just kind of forcing him to stop a couple autos onto Marlene, and he feeds Marlene the Lotus here, which was so high skill, because it actually saved him. It would have been really close. Maybe Marlene would have lived on like 50 health or something like that, but man, it would have been close. And yeah, the Tiny Toss came in, he surely would have died. But yeah, they end up winning the fight. He's totally okay, just chilling. And that's what you do. You get in the way with this hero. Don't initiate. You want to go in second or third. You're not the initiator. You go in second or third. As long as you do that, you're going to have a lot of impact by soaking spells and then getting off a very powerful Edict and Mech. And keep in mind, Edict does like 1300 pure damage at this point in the game and annihilates buildings. And alright, that's going to be about all for today's video. The last thing I want to say is that the other buff for Leshrac was that they decreased the activation mana cost for Pulse Nova at level 1. So keeping this ability at level 1 is even better than it used to, and allows you to truly sustain the hero's mana pool. I would recommend skilling Pulse Nova eventually, because you will eventually have enough mana items. You can even transition into a core. You can go Yules into Kaya Sanj later on into the game. In terms of talents, at level 15, you take movement speed during Pulse Nova. At 20, you take damage reduction during Pulse Nova. And then at 25, this one kind of depends. I think both are very good. If you're taking buildings, Edict Explosion. If you're mostly fighting, then the Pulse Nova triggers Lightning Storm is generally better. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.